This post is inspired by uh, a discussion I was having with some industry friends yesterday night. And the discussion was around the whole space of marketing and advertising, digital versus traditional, things of that kind. And this friend, who is an industry veteran, had a point of view that for all the noise that is made in conferences and seminars about digital, including advertising agencies talking about it, the reality is that more money continues to be spent on television, and television advertising is growing. So that's an interesting perspective. I mean, not that I have exact figures for it, but I would not have a reason to doubt this friend. So what is it? Why do we speak one language that digital is becoming big and growing, and yet, in fact, television continues to generate or rather get more and more budgets. So my thought is that yes, on the one side, for a lot of brands and a lot of categories, television probably still delivers far higher and far better returns than digital can or will. So that's part A. But part B could also be the fact that you know advertising agencies and marketers are comfortable in a certain space and want to keep staying there. So even as they get the digital agencies and social media agencies questioning their smallest cent spent there for ROI and other questions. At the same time, they keep writing out fat checks to television um, without too much of a bother. So, what what's causing this kind of strange behavior, as I would see it? And at a very fundamental level, I think it's it's a question of staying in the comfort zone, or I would believe it's a question of wearing blinkers, whether they are blinkers of complacency, they are blinkers of insecurity. In fact, coincidentally, I happened to be listening to a conversation, rather a podcast, which was an interactive podcast where Jeffrey Moore was talking. Jeffrey Moore, author of Crossing the Chasm and other books, and he was talking to students at Stanford University, and he was talking in context of a new book which is coming out, one of his new books coming out in September, and he made an interesting, he gave some interesting terminology, and he brought out this point of performance versus power. So what he was talking about is a lot of traditional industry, whether it's Microsoft of the world or the Cisco's or whoever, as they keep growing bigger and bigger, and then there is still a pressure of delivering quarter after quarter. Uh, they strive fundamentally for numbers and just about performance. And there's a lot of pressure at the end of every quarter, and there is somehow the numbers still keep coming. They become bigger and bigger. But then there is the other factor, and the other factor is that of power. How relevant and how interesting you are to the world for the future, how much sway you have, and which is where there is a challenge, and which is where the newer, probably the newer industry, the newer segments of business are holding sway. And what Jeffrey Moore was saying that more companies, when they are in this kind of a scenario for various reasons, even as they strategize internally, all they come back with are more ways to get performance, and which is not the same as continuing to get the power. And power is associated with PE ratios, not as much as performance is. That's what he was talking about. In fact, he made another interesting connect, and he said that it is power that venture capitalists back, because at times there are not enough numbers to talk about to think in terms of performance. So the kind of clout that the particular business might have in times to come is what venture capitalists are banking upon, and whereas what public exchange values is probably performance. So that's an interesting analogy. And coming back to the whole television versus digital versus social dilemma in, let's say in India, it's that ad agencies as well as advertisers are still driven by doing more of what they know well, and perhaps at the cost of putting the blinkers on um, what else is happening. And this is not the first time that a phenomenon of this kind has been seen. I mean, you know, I again refer back to a very interesting talk that I happened to hear a few days back, and that was by Nitin Paranjpe, CEO and MD of Hindustan Unilever Limited. In fact, I have a blog post summarizing the talk, and as a part of this video post, I'll share the link of that blog post for anybody who wants to check it out. But one of the points which he emphasized is about inflection points, which obviously we may not be able to see in advance, and yet which, as the word inflections suggests, can have far-reaching impact. So, I mean, we all have heard enough about the impact that the reduction of cell phone tariff has had to everybody. So, from 40 rupees a minute to, 30 paise a minute, and it has created a huge industry, not just of telecom operators, but people, companies, businesses for whom telecom has become a very integral part, and not just the value-added service providers, but people who are using phones in very, very interesting ways now that they are so cheap to run their businesses. So, world change. The fact that cell phone rates dropped, world is not going the same again. And what made the change? It was not some government policy, it was not some serious new R&D, new technology. It was just about somebody deciding that, you know what, let's make cell phone costs as cheap as a postcard. Yes, we all remember the grand statement that Mukesh Ambani made, and things were never the same again. I mean, one saw the opportunity that why are there only so many million cell phone subscribers? If the cost was lower, could it be several multiples of that? And now in hindsight we see that it did happen. The numbers did come. In the same manner, today if we look at a concept of a DVR, a digital video recorder, the Tata Sky Plus and Videocon and Sun and whoever. I mean, this is exactly what Nitin Paranjpe mentioned, that today it's at a cost of 4,000. So those who afford and those who are using it see most of television through DVRs, and the DVR comes with a remote. The remote has a fast forward button. Why would I see an ad, right? So when I'm seeing recorded television, I don't want to see advertising. So suddenly, advertising doesn't reach me. And now, today, D2H homes are very few because of the cost. What does it take for a Videocon or Reliance or whoever to say that there's potential of hundreds of millions homes? Why not just drop the price of D2H from 4,000 rupees to 400 rupees or 1,000 rupees? If I was getting 1,000 pieces business, can I get a lakh by just dropping from 4,000 to 1,000? Is there a way to make it happen at 1,000? I'm sure there is. I mean, it's a bunch of electronics out there. I mean, the cost can be brought down. And what happens then? I mean, will television advertising continue to grow as it is, and will it still manage? I mean, why should it? The cream of the market will not see ads on TV. They'll have fast-forward buttons. So those are the kind of things which are expected to come. And if traditional business could see it happening, then we would not have a newcomer like Hangama dominating a mobile space. We would not have an AOL buying out Time Warner. We would not have new businesses from a Shadi.com or a BharatMatrimony.com or a Naukri.com It would have been traditional media houses, the Times of India's and the other television channels who have dominated the space if they could have seen it ahead of time. But they did not, and which is where history can keep repeating itself. So where the blinkers continue to be on, and advertisers do not learn from history. They continue to spend money only on television, or largely on television, treating digital and social like a stepbrother or stepbrother for all you care, or like the Cinderella of the house who gets finally whatever is left over, the used stuff. Well, this Cinderella, this digital and social space, could be waiting for the Prince Charming. The Prince Charming in the form of somebody who breaks the rules and maybe brings D2H down for a very low cost, brings broadband at a very low cost, and that Prince Charming will finally give the digital and social media Cinderella their true worth, their true place. It could happen. So get the blinkers on. Thanks.